course, Mike Vrabel meeting with the media at 11:30, beginning the opening ceremony, so to speak, one might say, of training camp 2023. Ramon, we'll start with you on this one.
As far as opening ceremony or just...
No, one player who needs a good training camp the most for the Titans.
I got 3 written down, Will. Ooh. And it's hard to really pick. And I don't want to do the obvious one, but I feel like it is the obvious one. But I'll go after you. Well, I'll give another
you want
one.
me to go
No,
first?
I'm going to go first. But
well, give your 3 names and then rank them.
Okay, even better then.
Give me a 1A, 1B, and 1C.
1A is Brewer.
Aaron Brewer.
Aaron Brewer has to have a go. And that's my 1A. My 1B is Azeez Al-Shaair.
Oh, okay.
And
I would not have thought of him.
My 1C is Ryan Tannehill.
So explain to me why Brewer is 1A for you.
He's 1A for me, and I put him and Azeez in the same conversation. So much is contingent on them. So much success is contingent on them playing well and staying healthy and understanding both sides of the ball, meaning Brew. You hold on to the ball every single play. You snap the ball every single play. As my former coach would say, our hopes and dreams are dependent on you handling this football. And the fact that you're switching positions again with Ryan Tannehill without a starting right tackle that you had last year, and you're in a contract year, also, that plays a part in it to me also, because that pressure performing as a pro will in a contract year is also there. It's at least the cloud of people asking you, hey, this is the contract year. It's always on your mind. So I need for him to have a good camp for his career's sake and also for the Titans' sake, simply because if he can anchor that middle while having a young player right beside him too, possibly 2 young players beside him, then this team is going to be a whole lot better off. Peter Skoronski playing left guard to him is going to be crucial for both of their development, man. So he's the guy I'm picking to say he has to have an immaculate camp.
Okay, so Azeez Al-Shaair and Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill makes sense, obviously. I figured one of the 3 of us would pick a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Azeez Al-Shaair, the size a concern for you, or what are the questions you have around him?
In today's game, and I know what Bully was getting at, the durability of, I think they say he's, 223 or something, I think is what the roster said.
He's a taller guy, but yeah, you're right.
He's 6'2". I look at him, he's a lean, rangy, strike you fast, downhill guy, but can also play the pass. That's got to be his assets this year, where it's got to be a highlight as far as his career goes. And then this is the other thing, too. He's new here, Will. He's on a pretty much prove-it type of deal as far as extending himself out of being a known name in this league even more in a new division with a team that plays very hard and tenacious types of defense, right? This defense is not for the weak. It's just not. Heck, I was watching the QB series, the QB on Netflix, and Patrick Mahomes said the exact same thing. This team is rough when it plays defense. And I'm hoping he's bringing that 49ers knowledge and style of play over here also, because the middle linebacker's in a position has pretty much been the defensive quarterback. And that's why I'm putting pressure on him and also on Radens too. Those are the things that kind of get me going. You're as good as your middle linebackers with Money Rice is if they understand the entire defense and can go sideline to sideline.
I think, to be fair, Monty Rice is also another guy you could say needs a good camp.
And Wayne talked about the inside linebacker group, hardly at all, Will.
It's a big question mark. It certainly is. The only reason I don't say offensive line is because training camp practices aren't quite as physical as they used to be on the offensive line. And we're not going to learn as much about the big guys, in my opinion, in practices as we will week 1 or some of these preseason games. Is that fair?
Other than joint practices.
Okay.
They got 2 sessions of those.
That's fair.
We'll learn something then because it's mano-a-mano at that point, and it's true competition. And I'll just correct you, just like, it still is very physical.
Yeah, of course.
But as far as like what you're saying of them getting rep after drive after drive after next drill to next drill of physicality, you got to taper it a little bit. You do. And they also get the gap week in between the season, 2 weeks actually.
When it's not 100% full contact.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to, and you'll see I'll give a skill player here in a minute. That's why I'm more focused on guys who can go full speed and not full contact.
That makes sense.
Robert Walsh, Titans player that needs a big camp the most?
Well, I was going to go offensive line, but you've convinced me to go elsewhere to my 1B. And it's a little off the beaten path, but I'm going to go Kyle Phillips.
Ooh,
because
stealing mine.
It's
a good thing. No, it's fine.
I feel like he impacts the game in more ways than just offense. He's also a returner.
Yep.
If you're coming out there with field position, it's a whole lot easier to move down the field.
Yep.
And he's a different type of receiver than what your two outside guys are going to be. He's not the same thing as Hopkins. He's not the same thing as Burks. He's going to act as he's almost like in the Chig sort of field where he's going to be the middle of the field guy. He's going to be the safety valve. He's the guy that takes a 5-yard catch and turns it into 50, or takes a 5-yard catch and turns it into 20. You need guys like that, and his health is paramount for this offense. I don't know who slides in that spot. You probably got NWI there or Chris Moore there if he's not healthy. And I think he's a substantial upgrade over both of those guys when healthy.
I think it's Kyle Phillips for me, too, because it's so easy to forget. He had 6 catches for 66 yards week 1 against the Giants last year.
Yeah.
And that was coming off of a training camp where he was consistently Ryan Tannehill's favorite target on third downs in team periods.
Yeah.
Kyle Phillips, to start, has to stay healthy all of training camp. He has to. Had a shoulder injury against the Giants that he was not able to come back from. He had other bumps and bruises in the recovery process from the shoulder as well. He had only 2 catches for 12 yards after week 1 last season. But it is so easy to forget, guys, that this time last year, we were talking about him as the X factor that could completely change this offense.
Yeah, that's so true.
And he was the guy in training camp that was the chain mover. I think this team now has a down-the-field threat in Treylon Burks, has a veteran in DeAndre Hopkins who knows what he's doing. They need a third down technician in Kyle Phillips. Because I don't think Chig is going to be that guy anymore. I think he's so dynamic that you're not just using Chig as a third down Swiss Army knife the way you were at times a season ago or the way you have at times with the tight end position under Mike Vrabel. I think now he is one of your deep threat wide receivers, too.
You're saying now Chig has the red laser beam on him in team meetings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I just think Kyle Phillips can have a pretty specific role.
Yeah.
Chig doesn't have a specific role. He's going to do a little bit of everything, I think, for this offense. The way they used Jonnu Smith when he was still a Titan. Kyle Phillips is your Adam Humphries. He's going to do one thing, and he needs to do that one thing well. And it's get open in between a safety and a linebacker, in between a corner and a safety, get open in the dead parts of a zone or win in man coverage on third down and intermediate or third down and short.
All I heard when you say you need to do one thing and one thing only is that Kanye song. We're going to escape to one song and one song only.
Ramon, we canceled him. Come on.
Kanye's still around, I think. I think his family just canceled him. That's all.
I'm kidding.
Either way.
It's harsh. Ow.
Hey.
His family only canceled him.
Adidas did, too. What are we talking about, man? But, yeah, and the only reason I brought up Tannehill, though, man, my 1C, just prove it again. If you really are into this, and I know he is, the way you say and the way you want to be, and there's no better job to have in America almost than the NFL quarterback, fight off the young guys. I love seeing that type of stuff because if he does, that means his team is better, Will.
Show some fight.
Yeah. This is the first true competition he's had.
And remembering what it was like in 2019, we begged Marcus Mariota to do the same thing. A guy who wasn't fiery at all, still isn't, soft-spoken guy. Show a little bit of fight and be encouraged by the fact that you have someone looking over your shoulder. Ryan Tannehill's got 2 guys looking over his shoulder. Show a little bit of I don't know, confidence, a fight. Determination. And don't lock him out of the film room and, be a good teammate, obviously, because we've already seen people take out of context as one quote that, we've got good coaches, so it's not my job to mentor Malik back in Mentorgate this time last year.
Right.
Remember that was literally this time last year, that's what we were doing.
It was.
Will Ryan Tannehill mentor Malik Willis?
Yep. It was, wasn't it?
Goodness sakes. That feels like 5 years ago.
Couldn't be my headline.
Let's go to James in Franklin, 615-737-1045. Who is the one player who needs a big training camp the most? That's the question we posed to the people here in hour 2 this morning. What's up, James?
Good morning, Big Ragu.
Morning.
The obvious answer, Christian Fulton. Got to have it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one. Thank you, James.
He does. He's in the same seat as Brew. Aaron Brewer.
There are a lot of guys that just have to stay healthy for all of camp, and that in and of itself would be a success.
James Point, though, Vrabel called him out by name, too. He really did. It's not that I forgot about that. It's just that now we're back. We're back in the field now, no pun intended, when it comes down to, all the things that Vrabel said towards the end of the season and Christian Fulton not really showing up for OTAs or, being in town for minicamp, saying, look, I'm taking the entire offseason to learn how to train and get my body right. And the images he's shown, Kayla's pointed those out to us of him, working. What does it actually look like, or are you just an injury-prone type of guy, Will?
You could make the argument that every single one of the corners on this roster could be a legitimate answer to this question.
Yeah.
All of them. Sean Murphy Bunting included.
Mm-hmm.
New guy coming in, expected to be the second corner of a defense that has kind of rotated that position a little bit.
Yeah.
You could say Roger McCreary as someone who needs to make a rookie to year 2 jump. And where does Roger McCreary even play? Is he just a nickel now? Is he still going to be outside? I mean, I think Christian Fulton, if you're going on defense, I think is the best answer.
God, dog, how come I didn't think about that one, Will? Christian Fulton is one of the main answers for sure this year. I don't worry about buyer's response. I don't worry about any of those things when it comes down to him being a true pro about getting the job done. But Christian Fulton is definitely in the conversation. I would also throw Rashad Weaver. It's fair for him to expect to take a step up too. Also considering Harold Landry, will he be 100% go? And we won't know until we actually see it. But somebody has to take up the slack for what's going on as far as him getting back to 100%.
That's the thing, too, is that you've essentially bet on a bunch of guys who you were hoping make a jump.
Yeah.
This Tennessee Titans roster is made up of players who this coaching staff is going to try to coach up into their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true everywhere in the league. But even just in the AFC South, the Titans have as little proven talent as even the Colts and Texans. You could make the argument at many spots.
Yeah.
Titans just have proven talent that's really, really good, and Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry, and I'd even put Ryan Tannehill in there.
They have to. Have to, Will.
615-737-1045. Mike is in Nashville, up next with us here on this Titans discussion. What's up, Mike?
What's up? So I'm gonna go Money Rice.
Money Rice?
David Long.
Yep. 100%. Money. I forget about David Long Jr., man. Miami, you're going to have to see him on Monday night, too.
That's right.
You will have to see him on Monday night. Fair.
Yeah, that's very fair.
But that's the thing, though, too. That middle linebacker position, I think across the NFL has kind of been pushed back. Even, what's his name? Devin White. Looking for a deal. Tampa just chose not to give him a deal. Now, he may get one in the middle of camp, but that position right there is another position that I think we need to keep an eye on as far as guys getting their just due. You don't want this position to fall into the running back conversation.
No, you certainly don't.
It very well could, the way they treat it, it seemed like these days, especially if Azeez Al-Shaair come in and play well and David Long goes to Miami and play well on pretty much middle-class type of contracts. So, David Long. I mean, not David Long, Money Rice.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Jameson on
like
YouTube
Money.
in the F&M Bank chat says, who needs it most is Malik Willis. Without a massive preseason / camp, he's going to be packing boxes in a few weeks.
I'm hesitant to name Malik, though. I think that's fair, an assessment of it. I just don't know what's going to be left for Malik this year.
It feels like his fate is sealed regardless of what happens this training camp.
Yep.
Because he was replaced by a guy as the starting quarterback who'd been on the roster for about 4 days.
And that's kind of where I'm at with Malik.
And it's unfortunate for him, but the guy was never supposed to get a chance in year 1. He got his chance. He didn't take it. And now it feels like the team has completely moved on already.
I've never gotten more, though, Will. Request DMs on Instagram for folks I'm not friends with, or whenever I was on Twitter, just saying, I'm not out on Malik, or hey, I'm teaming. Like Malik has a huge fan base of people who are rooting for him, but I'm like, I almost feel like his fate's almost made up with how they went about last year, and you draft another second-round quarterback this year. It's touchy talking about Malik's situation because you feel like there is a lack of faith in him.
Well, let's continue that coming up next because I'm on the record. I don't think he makes the roster. I'm curious what your thought on that is now. And if it feels like the team has moved on, then what is considered a successful camp for Malik Willis? 615-737-1045. Plus more of your phone calls on our discussion here in hour 2. Who is the one player who needs a big training camp the most? Your thoughts on that at 615-737-1045.